Today is another class, and I want to introduce a new topic. And the first part, the first component of HR, which is human resource planning. Like I said in the previous lesson, HR planning is about ensuring that we have the right type of workers in the right numbers at the right time at the right place. HRP therefore can be defined as forecasting the future requirements of an organization in terms of numbers that are required, and then putting in place measures to ensure that the workers are available. It can also be taking stock of the current human resource and assessing the competence and the attributes of the current human resource and ensuring they are put to the best use. It's also about planning how to address any shortages, addressing any oversupplies, and therefore HRP can be defined as the process of determining human resource requirements and ensuring that strategies are put in place to address the human resource needs of an organization. So let's ask ourselves, what are the objectives of HRP? HRP1 ensures that the current human resource is put to optimum use. In other words, you make the best use of your current human resource. 2, it assesses or tries to predict the future requirements or the future needs. 3, it identifies any deficits in human resource in terms of, are you overstaffed, are you understaffed? Number 4, it aims at controlling the costs of human resources. One of the biggest costs of operations in an organization is payment of salaries and wages. HR ensures that these costs are kept within acceptable and reasonable limits. HRP ensures that there are transfer policies in place. For example, if one department is overstaffed and another department is overstaffed, HR puts in place measures of transferring workers from a department that is overstaffed to a department that is overstaffed. Another objective of HRP is promotion policies, something known as a career path for every worker. At what point does somebody begin their career? How do they grow in their career? How do they move from the current level to the next level? How do they progress? How do they grow? How do they advance? HRP ensures that their career path, people get promoted and people experience growth in their careers. HRP also ensures that workers' training needs are identified. Not only are they identified, but actual training requirements are defined and programs are actually developed. So it is from training that you're able to identify what skills do you need both now and in future, and what are the training needs. Are these skills currently present within the current workforce? And so, objectives of HR1 is to ensure that HR is used optimally. 2, it ensures we have the right number, thereby avoiding overstaffing or understaffing. The other thing is to assess the current inventory of human resources in terms of skills, etc. The other thing is ensure that there are proper measures to address any HR deficits that occur in terms of numbers, in terms of skills. It also ensures that we control the cost of human resource. It aims at formulating transfer policies, aims at formulating promotion policies. And ultimately, it avoids overstaffing or understaffing. So let's look at what are the stages or the steps of HR. Stage number 1 in HRP planning is analysis of the organization's plans. Plans in terms of production, in terms of marketing, in terms of finance, in terms of procurement. And these will tell us what are the number of workers that will be required to execute that plan. So the first stage of HRP is analysis of organizational plans and objectives. What is the organization planning to do? These will help in determining the number of workers you need as an organization to carry out that plan. Number 2 is estimating demand for human resource. Once you've understood what an organization wants to do, you can be able to forecast the demand. So the first in forecasting the demand is to do a review of the current manpower or your current members of staff in terms of the numbers, how many are we, in terms of the skills, in terms of the age, etc. And not only the current staff, but ask yourself, what is the number of employees you will require in the future? What kind of skills will you require your employees to have in the future? And this will help us to determine whether you are understaffed or overstaffed, and even try to estimate the future needs of workers. And probably stage number 3, which is in HRP, is to forecast the supply. When you talk about forecasting the supply, you ask yourself the number of workers currently available inside the organization, the ones who are currently available in the labor market, from where you can be able to recruit, and what factors are likely to influence the supply of labor. So stage number 1 is analyze organizational plans. 2, focused demand for HR in an organization. 3, focused supply. Stage number 4 in HRP is matching demand with HR supply. And when you match demand to HR supply, that enables you to identify gaps. You will get either you have a deficit as far as HR resources are concerned, or you have a surplus. And number 5 is preparing a HR strategy. HR strategy enables an organization to address any deficits identified. Like now, if you have a deficit, you can have a policy of recruiting more. If you have a deficit in terms of skills, you can address it through training. If you have an oversupply, you can transfer. Alternatively, you can retrench, and therefore, after estimating the gap that exists between HR demand and HR supply, you prepare a plan of addressing that gap. And that is or are the 5 stages of human resource planning. After that, we can turn to what is the importance of human resource planning. 1 is it helps to determine the future personnel needs of an organization. How many employees does an organization require in the future? What kind of skills will the organization require the workers to have? Number 2, it enables an organization to prepare for the future, and therefore we normally say is an important part of strategic planning. Therefore, you cannot prepare a strategic plan if you do not have a HR plan. 3, it ensures that an organization has a pool of highly skilled and talented workers. And maybe we can even look at football. When teams are recruiting, they recruit the very best players who can perform, players who can score goals, who can defend, players who can supply the ball. And so HRP ensures you've got a pool of talented, productive workers. The other thing is it helps in controlling HR costs and keeping them within acceptable levels. If you remember, every organization has got 2 objectives. 1 is to maximize profits, and you cannot maximize profit if you do not minimize costs. And we have agreed that one of the major costs of operations is payment of salaries and wages. And therefore, it is imperative that proper planning is done in order to keep these costs under check. The other thing is that it helps to prepare employees for change. One of the most important things with change is that it is constantly occurring. The business environment is always dynamic. The internal environment is also dynamic. We have very, very, very few constants within the environment, and therefore workers need to be prepared and to be made ready for these constantly occurring changes. It is HRP planning that anticipates these changes and puts in place plans of how to manage that change. Another importance of HRP is succession planning. It ensures that when one manager leaves, there is an already prepared successor. That's succession planning. It ensures that as managers age, we have young ones who have been prepared to take over. It ensures there is a mentorship of new talent, of employees who can replace the ones who are retiring, who have died, and who have left. And therefore, HRP is very critical in ensuring the continuity of an organization. Like currently in the Kenya government, we have a problem of succession. Most of the employees were recruited immediately after independence. Currently, those employees are all of them approaching 60. The question is, who will take over from them? Proper HRP would have seen the government employ new, younger workers who can now be able to replace the ones who are outgoing. Let's look at factors influencing human resource planning. The first factor that will influence human resource planning is the type of organization. Are you a trading organization? Are you a manufacturing organization? Are you a private organization? Are you a government organization? Are you a not-for-profit organization? That will determine the kind of plans you prepare in terms of HRP. Number two are the strategies and the plans of an organization. And that's why we said one of the stages of HRP is basically analyzing the future plans of an organization. What does the organization plan to do? What is the number of workers an organization will require at a certain time in future? That will influence the kind of HRP plans that you have. Number three is organizational growth cycle. Like we remember, there are 4 stages of organizational growth. There is introduction, there is growth, there is maturity, and decline. What we call sometimes business life cycle. So the business life cycle influences human resource planning. At what stage is an organization? Is it at infancy? Is it at the growth stage? Is it at the maturity stage? Is it at the decline stage? Number 3 are environmental or macroeconomic factors, like the political factors, like the social factors, like the economic factors, and the technological factors. Sometimes we call them the best: the political, the economic, the social, and the technological. These are factors in the external environment that greatly affect any plan, not only human resource, but even production plans and even market plans. They influence the ability of these plans to be implemented successfully and to realize the objectives of every plan. Number 4 is the time horizon. A HR plan can be short-term or it can be long-term. Short-term plans are a bit certain, but long-term plans are uncertain. And therefore, HR will be affected by the time span. Are you planning for 1 month, for 1 week, or for 1 year, or for 5 years? The other factor that affects HR planning is the quality and accuracy of information available. what kind of information is available as far as estimating demand is concerned, as far as estimating supply is concerned. And number 6 is the nature of jobs being filled. Are you employing low-cadre employees? Are you employing top-level managers? All these will determine your HR plan. Let's turn our attention to what obstacles occur or prevent proper HR planning. Number 1 is HR information being incompatible with other information. Remember, HR is just but a small department among many other departments. If the information available is not compatible with the financial information or the marketing information or the procurement information, that will affect or hinder HR planning. 2 is conflict between short-term and short-term HR needs. Sometimes it's always a trade-off in terms of HR planning. Do you first address the short-term issues and then address the long-term issues, etc. The other thing, of course, is non-involvement of other managers. You cannot successfully plan if you do not involve other departmental managers or other functional managers. For example, you cannot have a HR plan for marketing if you do not involve the marketing manager. Therefore, today, I want to wish everybody the best. Let us be very hopeful that what is occurring in our country will pass, and hope everybody is safe, and hope that you're still revising, you're keeping yourself up to date with all the materials that you have, and in case they set a date for the exam, then all of us will be ready. Goodbye.